Friday night. This was the first official main LARP event evening. There was a helicopter entrance. Fucking wild. So cool. Of the court arriving with some of the other important kindred. Could have been you. If you get the Methuselah level ticket, you get perks like this. People arrive by helicopter. Everyone's sort of gathered outside watching people descend the stairs. But Toledo is not with his boo. Toledo is with Rowan, who he's grown quite attached to in a short time. Even though he's like dumping all these problems on her, she's like real with him and but kind of cryptic, but in a way that gets him thinking. And like he sees there's a quick connection. He very quickly actually cares about her, not just because he should to help his relationship with Ida, but they have a weird dynamic that really works. And even though he's like, I'm her dad, was sort of our joke of like Ida and Toledo, or mom and dad of Rowan. Rowan, even though she is a very new kindred, still like a fully adult woman who has all this sense and wherewithal of a adult, and had some insights and way of seeing the world that much wiser than Toledo or Ida. So played that off in a very interesting way. So Toledo learned a lot from her. But anyway, Toledo's with Rowan. Ida, different part of the area with Raphael. But I think right before this, Ida did come and check in and like asked Rowan, like, okay, well, how's like the condition? How's the Malkavian curse thing coming along? Is everything okay? Toledo is so a little frustrated. Really annoyed by the tarot cards because they keep saying bad things about him. So he said something about to Ida of like, we should find her something else to do besides those damn cards. And Ida's like, instead of focusing on changing Rowan, how about you focus on winning that bet of yours? Toledo's like, what the fuck? And then Ida storms off. You know, in character, Toledo doesn't know she listened into that conversation. So he just thinks, oh, Raphael narked on me. But also narked in a way like he only said one part of what happened and didn't give the context. So Toledo's pissed at Raphael even more now. So while she's staying with Raphael, Toledo and Rowan, Toledo's pissed off, ranting to Rowan about everything, and like, look at them over there, and they're giving looks, and Ida knows how emotional Toledo is, and is making sure to piss him off by kind of arm in arm with Raphael. And he's like, I know the mature thing would be to let this go, blah, 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 but like, I kind of want to get even. I kind of want to do something about it. And Rowan's like, you should. Again, I love Rowan. Such a innocent fucking shit stirring. And again, because she seems calm and wise, Toledo's like, wait, what? I should? Rowan's like, yeah. So he's like, shit, okay, maybe I will. He's like, okay, how do I make Ida jealous? He doesn't give a fuck about anything. But there's Victoria Ash, the most beautiful, sought-after who's who of kindred. If anyone knows how to make someone jealous, it's going to be the Toreador of Toreadors. So Toledo approaches Victoria and says, like, hey, and Victoria's around for a little bit of tarot reading, so she had a little bit of info. And he also picked up that Victoria doesn't like Ida, so like, maybe she'll help me out with this. He's like, I'm trying to make Ida jealous. Can you recommend someone like who, everybody? Who should I go to that I can use to sort of make Ida jealous because she's trying to make me jealous and really stir something up? Victoria's like, well, who better than me? Toledo didn't even think that was an option because, again, she's Victoria Ash. Like, she's not going to be seen with Toledo. But he's like, I'm not going to look a gift Toreador in the mouth. So he's like, yeah, you'll do that for me? She's like, yes, of course. And he's like, fuck, yeah, okay. Which, again, is fun because they had beef, Ida and Victoria, so Toledo doesn't know that's probably the main motivation. He just thinks, hey, Victoria's cool, and clearly she's got good taste, so let's go. So they go arm in arm. He walks her right past Ida and talking loudly. It's like, yes, Victoria Ash. I was just thinking about how you, Victoria Ash. He just kept like saying her name and pointing out, I'm with Victoria Ash. Ida just moves somewhere else to continue discussion with whoever. So he has to bring Victoria over there. I remember they're like at the windows with amazing venue, really cool view of the city. He's like, ah, yes, wasn't this city once yours, Victoria Ash? It was so fun. Victoria went along with it in a really fun way, and Ida did a great job of ignoring it, but she still clocked it. She saw, and other people saw. Toledo's kind of the man. And Toledo like thanked her, is like, hey, like, thank you so much for that. Is there something you want me to do for you? And she's like, yeah, I hear you're getting involved with the trial stuff. Just make sure the right thing happens, and that Jermaine remains on the red list. Toledo's like, yeah, I'll do that for you. A couple other scenes happened after this. Also talked to Jermaine again, checked with Jermaine. At this point, Jermaine had evidence, some of the evidence that's going to be submitted in the trial. And Abbott and Toledo saw the evidence, got that, and talk about the trial a little bit as Abbott started putting things together to get that organized. And then Toledo ran into Giovanni. Seemed like they were not lost, but like they're looking around, like they seemed like they needed something. So Toledo checked in with them, was like, hey, nice to meet you. Name's Toledo, introduced himself. It's like, you need help with something? And they're like, oh, actually, yeah, they're looking for something called vapor, a drug that, or some sort of concoction connected to the Thin Bloods. And Toledo's like, oh, well, shit, I know a Thin Blood. Let me get them and we'll see if we can help you out. And they're like, oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. What do you want from me? And Toledo's like, what do you mean? Nothing. You need help? I have a way to help you. It's the right thing to do. And he's like, let me guess, you're Kim. And they're like, yeah, actually I am. It's like, yeah, so you're used to like everything has a price and no one's just can be good to each other because it's the right thing to do. You have no sense of community. He's like, I'm an anarch, if you couldn't tell, and that's why I'm going to help you, just to help you. They're a little wary of it, and they're like, okay. And he's like, I'll tell you what, I'll help you out, and all you got to do is just let me know how it goes, and maybe have a chat with me later. And they're like, yeah, sure. Which, out of game, this was a player who talked to me before. It was their first LARP. I think they'd seen some of my videos before, so something to that. And again, if you're new, especially if you're new and you're have watched this or any of my other things are familiar with me, come tell me. I love pulling people into stuff. And again, this wasn't like some big pre-planned thing. It's just I saw them and I remembered that, oh yeah, I had a great little talk with them before, person to person. And I know this is their first LARP. Let's see how I can get involved. And it was really cool. They're like, oh shit, yeah. Vice, my coterie mate, is a Thin Blood. And you're looking for a Thin Blood thing. We're making things happen right away. It's really cool. So don't be shy. If you're going to a DE and you've seen any of these, tell me. And we'll make stuff happen. For better or for worse. It's not always good to be associated with Toledo. But in this case, I think it was. So basically, Toledo is going to show him the power of friendship. So Toledo finds Vice. Vice is able to, through its contacts, track down a sample of vapor. You know, we find a storyteller run this little side thing, and we get a vial of vapor. And then also, while talking to Vice, he was like, hey, what are you up to? You need help with stuff? And Vice, there's a little plot going on for there to be a herald, I believe, of the Court of Atlanta. But it requires collecting cards. I don't know, it was a really cool system. Like different people had different cards that were like traded like a resource, but you could like put hands together and different hands, whoever had the highest value essentially won the thing, and showed that they have the social and political acumen to acquire these things from people to become herald. And a Thin Blood anarch becoming herald doesn't make sense, which is exactly why Toledo had to support Vice in making that happen. Because a big part of Toledo's thing is sort of satirizing the ivory tower. And Vice is like, oh, I need a lot of coins though. So there's a boon system. There's also a thing called a Fang coin, which are like similar to sort of, they almost represent boons in a way. And thanks to Chicago, to go watch that recap video, we won a lot of Fang coins, and I've been holding on to them ever since, spending them little by little, but I still got a chunk. And so in character, Toledo's like, yeah, man, I every time I go to one, like a big gathering, I bring all my money, but I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. So I kind of bury it outside. But yeah, so we went, and because I had them all in like, I have to bring a backpack with all like my recording equipment, but I stash it off. So it kind of was fun that like in character made it seem like I went and like dug up, and I literally had just a whole thing. I dug into a bag and had a shit ton of coins that I gave Vice. It was funny. It was great. So Vice helped me out. Gave Vice a bunch of coins. Everything was great. Went, gave the vapor to the Giovanni. Next time I saw him, I'm just like, here you go. Here's the thing you asked for. And like, what the fuck? You just fought. Like, they were clearly like asking around, trying to get to figure out what to do with it. And also, there's very few thin bloods, so it probably was pretty hard to actually find. So it was kind of funny that Toledo's like, hey, I'm gonna show you the power of friendship. I'm gonna help you out, man. And they're like, all right. And then he shows up a little bit later. It's like, here's the exact thing you asked for free of charge. Like, what the fuck? Okay. And they're sort of caught off guard. They're like, you really don't want anything? And he's like, you know what? Just like, why do you want this? You up to something cool? And I think it was they're just, faction plots. Everyone joins a faction, and each faction has a plot going. I think the faction they were in, finding this was part of that plot. So they're like, yeah, we're finding it for this group, trying to study it. And he's like, hey, that sounds cool. Toledo's like, just tell me about it. And it sounds cool. And we're even. We're cool. And he's like, okay, yeah. And I just gave them the thing, and they went on their way. It was really fun. Had a little scene with the storyteller where Vice met with like a drug dealer. The storyteller in charge of that did a great job of having this little moment with us. And long story short, we got the vapor. And while all this was going on, Toledo still had Ida in his heart. So he needed to make things right and get to bottom this Raphael bullshit. So he finds Ida, and Ida's like, I'm doing important things right now. We can walk and talk. They're walking and talking. And he like starts to try to apologize and gets to the bottom of stuff as she's getting pulled away because, again, faction plots. She's part of the Arsene Society, a bunch of crooks. And they had a scene that was, I don't know where it was, but it was, again, it was a thing where like the storytellers pull you off, but theirs was in a different like location. All I know is there was an elevator to get to this playing area, and they got on an elevator and left. And it was a very funny moment where like Liz trying to talk to Ida. She gets on the elevator with the rest of the Arsene, and like he's not gonna go with them because he's not in that faction. He doesn't know what's going on. It's like he's just like, I'll wait for you, and the elevator's closing, and it was great. And Ida goes off to be a crook. So Toledo, still his heart unmended, returns to the event and sees Raphael. Sees Raphael talking with Helia and Prince Eve, and maybe some other people. So Toledo just marches right up and it's like, you son of a bitch. And goes to Eve and it's like, hey, this dude's problem. He's an enemy of the Alliance. Kill him. Get his ass. And Helia, who's like Eve's BFF, it's like, she's absolutely not going to do that. Calm down. And she's not going to do that because Raphael's my partner. In character, out of character, did not know this. It was an amazing moment. So he's like, what? No, you're with Nikolai, the Salubri. That guy is good. You guys are a good couple together. And Helia's like, yeah, I have multiple partners. And Toledo's like, oh, you're one of those. And then looks to Eve and is like, wait, are you one of those too? Which, out of character, was funny because I talked to them about it after the fact. And apparently that was a very loaded question because Eve does have a romantic plot involving multiple suitors, we'll say, even though Eve is married. I don't know. I don't know the details of it. All I know is there is some secret other man situation, and it was funny that Toledo like very pointedly asked her. And I did clock in character, like Eve did like pause for a second and then was like, no. But now it's very funny learning that potentially was a spicy question. And in this moment, I don't know why, I've decided Toledo is, because he's so hell-bent on proving that he can love someone without a blood bond. I don't know. I guess he's very into monogamy now. What a weirdo. Anyway, Toledo's heated. Helia was amazing. Pulled Toledo aside, separated him and Raphael, and calmed him down and tried her best. And Toledo was just very confused. It's like, you're great. You're super helpful and kind. Why are you with someone who's like evil and like mean and dark and mysterious and hot? And oh, okay, yeah, I kind of get it. The bad boy thing. Fuck. But then Toledo tried to, Raphael, in his mind, narked on him to Ida about the bet thing. So he's like, well, just so you know, that guy's no good for you. He's no good at all. He is apparently in love with my girl, Ida. And he was bragging last night about how he was banging her up and down the street back in the day and blah, blah, blah. And Ellie just like looks at Toledo, like, did he really say that? And so he's like, practically. No, he didn't. It was just trying to tell on Raphael's like, and then he said this and that. And he also said like he wants to like, he can't wait to enjoy my suffering. And Helly was like, that actually does sound like him. So it was a great, like, and making crazy accusations of Raphael, and then also says one of the things, and Helly's like, okay, yeah, that does track. And I don't know, Toledo's losing it. He's all worked up. He's devastated that like someone he really likes because they're a friend gave him great advice on his relationship, is romantically involved with someone he considers his mortal enemy now. He doesn't know what the fuck to do. It feels like he's going crazy. Because like this person sucks, but why is everyone cool with him? Helly is like, I don't like, I'm not gonna like, he's not gonna do anything bad. He's not gonna like mess things up. You guys will be fine. And Toledo's like, look, I will give you. He's like, it's very important to me. Like me and Ida are really working on things. And right now things are like the precipice of like something big, right? Ida might finally be getting in touch with her emotions. I cannot lose her now. Everything's riding on this. He's like, I'll do it. She's my life. I'll do anything for her. He's like, you know what? She is my life. So I will give you a life boon. If all you have to do is keep Raphael away from Ida. And Helia was like, what? Because if you don't know vampire lore, a life boon is insane. It's something that like is incredibly rare and you should never give to someone unless you have like no other choice. And typically life boon is because you owe someone your life. Toledo thinks a boon system is silly and not how a society should operate. So he never fully grasps or doesn't take it as seriously as he should. But he said, he's like, Ida's my life. So yeah, I give you a life boon if you can save my relationship with her. And Helly is just obviously really taken aback by this. He's like, if I get a heartbeat, like you'll tell them that. You will get this recorded. He's like, I'll go I'll find every heartbeat here and we'll make it official. Helly's like, okay, you don't have to do that, but I'll talk to Raphael. We'll see what we can do. Which, again, I play a flawed character. Again, a concept more people should think about. I really gave a real dangerous thing to Helia. She really could have. A lot of people have just taken that, immediately banked it, and who knows what would happen to Toledo if he's in a life debt to someone. But bless Helia for really playing off of that in a very interesting way and not denying it, but not immediately fucking him over with it too. Like, again, kept the story going, breathed life into it, and was like, let's discuss the details later. I'll talk to Raphael, which is, again, I threw something fucking wild at her and she rolled with it. She reacted as shocked as she should have in the character and then also rolled with it in a really, really fun way. So after that, Toledo spots Rowan, who's looking rough. Rowan is with Caspian. Toledo sort of jumps in to try to help. And Caspian is sort of unsure what's happening and like kind of is like, wait, and Toledo's like, no, like, you could trust me. I'll help her out. Thanks for looking out for her. Caspian wasn't so sure, and Rowan was like, no, I trust him completely. So Caspian's like, okay, and like let Toledo try to help her. And Caspian had his own problems going on that he probably had to go attend to, but that's a whole different story. But basically filled him in that like Rowan is hungry. I'm looking for someone in the circulatory system or someone that can help feed him, or an Epicurean. So he's like, well, I'm in the Epicureans and the circulatory system. I got it. He's like, okay, cool. So Toledo has a herd and a lot of herd perks where like he travels with his people and like checked with a storyteller to make sure that's how it kind of worked. And like, if I have this stuff, can I essentially share that with someone? And they're like, yeah. So got mechanical permission with the storyteller, and then sort of had a scene with Rowan of kind of like how storytellers will kind of bring you out, like do a little theater of mind, and where you go elsewhere and do stuff. Toledo and Rowan sort of did that, where took him to his herd that was nearby. She is a sandman, I believe. She feeds on people who are asleep, and which is not the worst way to feed, but Toledo's a consensualist. It's like, no, there's a better way. And also, Toledo really wants to teach Rowan how to be a good kindred, especially with Ida's teaching her the cam ways and how to be paranoid and everything's bad. He's like, no, we could be good. Here's a great example of how to do so. So taught her how to feed consensually from his friendly herd. But before that, there's also sort of a moment where, so this is happening, and then Abbott grabs Toledo and was like, hey, we gotta go. We just found out like where the SI are, and like they got our names. Apparently we got caught on camera from the night before. They got us identified and blah, blah, blah. We got to go hit the SI now to take them out before they do something big. Ida's gone. I watched her get on an elevator, disappear. I don't know where the fuck Ida is. I'm responsible for Rowan now, but also like that's my Baron, it's my best friend that's trying to get me to go take out the SI. Toledo's like, what the fuck do I do? So he's with Rowan. He's like, do I take you with me? It's like, we're gonna do something dangerous you shouldn't do, but I don't know who else to leave you with, and you seem to be like going through something because of your infliction. And came into play in a really cool way, where during the month of darkness, I believe Rachel, who played Rowan, did a reading about the SI for one of the prompts, and it talked about her I think dying. So she pulled that in and she's like, the SI, I did a reading about them and it said I would die. So Talia's like, okay, I can't bring you, what do we do? He's panicking, and Abbott's like leaving, and he's like, fuck, like it's now or never. And he's like, all right, you're fed, you're good. She's like, yeah, I'm good. It's like, okay, don't get into any more trouble, I'll be right back. And Toledo went and got in trouble. So Toledo, Abbott, Vice, Tick, the Fringe Coterie, and then a bunch of others actually went on this sort of side mission with an ST in a different part, where we ended up, it was like some apartment complex that was secretly a SI layer that we tried to get into. The whole thing ended up actually being a trap, and long story short, it was rigged to blow, and it fucking blew up. And some of these kindred are fucking tough and somehow survived walking into a exploding building. Not Toledo. Toledo instantly torpored. So some of the people that survived were, those with a little higher potency and whatnot, a little tougher. Were feeding their blood to the torpored kindred to revive them. And Toledo bonds to someone after drinking a single drop of their blood. So the Nosferatu Tick was getting ready to do that with Toledo. Abbott's like, no, I'll get him up. It's like, okay, which was a really fun moment of like, couldn't really say why, because he doesn't want to like reveal this thing about Toledo, but also Toledo was almost bloodbound to Tick the Nosferatu, which would have been the end of Toledo. So that was a fun moment. But Abbott got him up, so then it turns out Toledo was bloodbound to Abbott for the rest of the week. So after that, Toledo stumbles back to the event. Immediately, actually, kind of runs into Rowan and Ida, who are both looking rough, including Toledo, who's looking, describes like, yeah, he's burnt to shit. He was just blown up. At some point during this, Ida, like, wrapped her arms around Toledo and made it clear that she's about to frenzy and she needed to feed ASAP. And I think while they were embraced like that, Rowan's like, okay, I don't need to be here for this. And Toledo was like, this is what love looks like. This is a beautiful, inspirational thing. Actually, you shouldn't be ashamed of this. And they're being stupid. But Toledo ended up taking Ida to feed. We ran this kind of like a little side scene. Because again, Toledo has his herd with him, but they're not like physically in that space. So we like found a hallway. It's a really cool thing where I've never really narrated like an off-scene thing, but Syrinx, being the professional she is, it kind of ran us through this in a really interesting way. It's a really cool moment for me and a big like learning moment for me. It was an interesting way to do this. And we sort of talked about how Toledo wanted to use this opportunity to show Ida, hey, this is how a consensualist feeds, not what you do. And Ida, shockingly, being a siren, kind of used the opportunity to show her more her predator side and sort of messing with some of his herd and trying to show that, like, we are hunters. This is what we feed from. Because Toledo very much treats his herd like a group of pals, which to him they are. We also had a fun moment where, like, when Ida came in, I kind of described how, like, the herd would be like, oh shit, this is Ida. We've heard so much about you. We're so excited to meet you, blah, blah, blah. So, like, immediately being a little jarring for Ida, who's, like, coming in to find food. And Toledo, of course, tells his human followers / friends all about Ida. They probably hear about her all the time. So it was kind of a funny moment of, like, they got to meet Rowan earlier, even though he didn't really narrate that. And now they got to meet Ida. So, like, they're meeting the whole fam. This is a big night to be in Toledo's herd. But things seemed like they were kind of going well, where Ida really pushed of, like, I remember talking about, like, making eye contact with Toledo while she fed and almost, like, daring him to stop her to see if he trusted her, to see how far she would go with the feeding. And I kind of described Toledo's, like, very clear nervousness and all the signs of, like, being uncomfortable. But he ultimately decided to risk one of his people, hoping Ida would do the right thing. And she did. Well, the right thing being she didn't kill them. She invited Toledo to feed with her. They had a little moment with that. Again, Toledo was stoked. Every time Ida shows a little bit of that humanity, he makes the mistake of celebrating that and making it a big deal. So right after, again, they had this great moment, this like actual kind of like couple moment. And of course, Toledo has to be like, babe, I'm so proud of you. You could have, you controlled yourself. That was really good. You really respected my people. And, like, I'm so happy with you. Like, you're good. You're good. And all the wrong things to say to Ida, who shockingly stormed off at this. Add one to the counter. Also, during this out of character, Rachel came in as Rowan and was like, hey, I'm out here trying to, like, I'm about to die. My willpower is draining. How do I, in game terms, let someone know that so Rowan doesn't die? And which is another great sort of opportunity where, like, again, you want to try to, like, stay in character and whatnot. And you don't want to be meta and be like, my willpower is draining. And Rachel's a professional, so she was, like, really in character, trying to stick to that, but realizing it was about to be really detrimental. And that is something that's, like, kind of hard to do. So at times like that, she did a great thing of, like, just tell someone above board, like, hey, here's a situation, so let's get here in character. Great thing. And that's essentially what Syrinx told her. It's like, oh shit, yeah, just we got you. We're gonna finish this scene and we'll save you. So then go back to Ida storming off, not saving her, but Dad of the Year Toledo was on it. Abandoned by Ida, he found Rowan. She was able to describe, like, I'm still, like, being drained. I'm still, like, suffering. And he's like, oh, do you need to feed again? And she's like, no, it's like a mental thing. And Toledo, little backstory, his mom was a salubri. Some of the first stuff he learned how to do. He can heal willpower. So he did just that. How Toledo heals mentally is through, he likes to, again, he's a man of the people. He meets people where they're at. He doesn't have it used to be, especially in Chicago, I sort of imagine this as he gets people to confess, and that relief of their burden is what sort of heals them. And I think that's still sort of his preferred way, but I think he's learned a lot since then. And as far as, like, let's see what they need. And how Rowan finds comfort in the world and makes sense of the world is through her tarot. So Toledo did a tarot pull for Rowan. And it was a very just complete BS tarot pull of he's just looking at the pictures and be like, oh, see this? Here's two people. That's me and you. We're pals. We're friends. This is me looking out for you. And this one, this looks like you getting better. It's all like, see, it's all going to be fine type of thing. And ended up healing some of Rowan's willpower. And check Rachel's video out so you can see, like, the details of what Rowan was going through. But essentially, she had these little timed, like, little notes that a storyteller gave her of like, pull this in an hour, pull this at this time. And each time it'd be like, lose 2 willpower. And it's like, if you get to 0 willpower, you're dead type of situation, which is different than this would normally work mechanically. Again, this weird Malkavian condition is it's a big deal. It's a problem. So Toledo did this, and they realized like, okay, this thing's like not just this is weird, we should figure out what's going on. It's like, oh, tonight someone could die if we don't figure something out. And they didn't know how to solve it or cure it, but Toledo's like, hey, send any Malkavians to me who are suffering in this way, and I will at least keep them alive until we can cure this. So Toledo's helping. That's what he does. Then right after that, Liv, who had something said with Rowan before, came to get a tarot reading, which was a fun thing because Liv is a character that Toledo had also, the very first person in Darkness Emergent that he had used that same power to heal their willpower back when Liv was going through a compulsion in Chicago. So it was a kind of a cool moment of her to step in right after that. And also, so Toledo sees this as like, this is a good teaching moment because again, I'm teaching, like, it's my responsibility to teach Rowan how to be good. And to him, one of the biggest problems with Kindred society is the boon system, that like no one can just do something for someone else because it's the right thing to do or to like build community and bonds. They do it because you owe them, right? That's like, to him, he's like, as long as our society, like that's the currency of our society, we're fucked. So he really wants people to just start doing things for other kindred because it's nice, which is kind of insane for a kindred, but that's his battle. So he tries convincing Rowan, like, hey, because, you know, Liv, being a more normal kindred, was like, what do you want in exchange for this? What do I owe you? So he was like, Rowan, you could just do this to be nice. And Rowan was like, oh, okay. And Liv's like, yeah, but I want to give you something. And Rowan's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. If you want, as the thing, if he tried, it felt like Rowan's heart was maybe in the right place a little bit, but Rowan is more practical than Toledo, which is sad to think about. And did accept a boon or some sort of payment, but we're getting there. Toledo's starting, Rowan saving. It didn't work. I think Rowan still accepted some sort of boon thing, and it was what it was. But you know what? She considered it, so we're on the path of salvation. Not wanting to babysit Rowan, or, you know, the tarot reading seems like a private thing, so we left them to do that and went outside and found Dimitri and Katja. These two are some of my favorite characters, and I was so excited to be able to naturally run into them. They'd already built a little bit of a dynamic in the Discord, the in-character stuff before the event. They know of Toledo's relationship woes, we'll say, as I think he's asked them for advice on that. And also, Kata is a redhead Ravnos, and for some reason he's like in a relationship with Dimitri. He's like, oh, this is I'm in love with the redhead Ravnos, so what it works for them should work for me. Logic. They had a really great conversation that I loved, and Toledo loved, where, you know, he asked them for advice, and I think their advice initially was like, run, which is good advice, which is what I really like, and what Toledo really appreciated about them is they gave, like, they didn't sugarcoat things. They're very practical. A lot of advice you'll get from Kindred comes from a very lofty, like, yes, let me tell you how things are in the world. And there's something really refreshing about these two just kind of telling it like it is, but not necessarily in an overly pessimistic way either. Toledo is a desperately optimistic person, so he needs a little bit of that too. And even though they're saying like, hey, you're in for a bumpy ride, essentially is what they're saying, like, you sure you know what you're getting into? Because they say Toledo and they're like, I think a little bit they even said like, hey, we're rooting for you, but also like, I don't know if you can handle this ride. And but I think they also know a little bit that, like, that's not going to discourage Toledo. He asked them about their love story and got some inspiration from that, and learned about that they knew each other, and their love story started even before they were embraced. And that was something really cool and interesting for Toledo to hear about their journey and their trials and tribulations, and that they're still going strong now. And they also didn't sugarcoat that it was not and is not an easy road, but is absolutely worth it. And that's what Toledo needed to hear, because he's really fumbling with Ida, and all he needs is one person to be like, hey, yeah, it's not just you. Like, it's not going to be easy. They know Ida a bit too, I believe. Like, from we know about her, like, fucking Spitfire, good luck. But we're not saying it's impossible, and that's all Toledo needs to hear. I think he also told them about that, hey, problem I'm having is like this Raphael person's interfering for some reason. I don't know who the fuck they are, what their problem is. And because again, Toledo's still in denial of, like, there's the obvious real issues between him and Ida, but it's a lot easier to deflect and pretend like the stranger is somehow a problem when it really isn't a problem. So he told the pair of them they'd offered Helia a life boon to deal with Raphael. They got a kick out of that, and they're like, yeah, that's dumb. Don't do that. But he's like, also kind of romantic if you think about it. And they're like, kind of. And again, that's all he needs. He just needs, you give him just a drop of positivity. Really, he can turn anything into encouragement. And he did. So great conversation with those two. Which then led to a terrible conversation as Toledo found Ida again after her storm off. She was with Raphael, of course, and Helia. And they were with Rowan. Things seemed very intense, and they were like trying to get to the bottom of this curse thing. As Toledo approached, Lucius was there too. Also, Lucius, out of the kindness of his big vengeful heart, was also trying to get to the bottom of this curse stuff. And so Toledo was telling Lucius about what was happening, and that they were being drained mentally and they might die, but Toledo is able to save them if he can send any his way. And it was the thing of, I think they're talking about what to do while this other group's talking about what to do. And it was kind of a fun thing where, like, Toledo's loudly talking about all the things he's doing to help, while Ida's also loudly talking about, like, what they're doing to help, and that other people are being more of a distraction than actual benefit to the cause. And it's great, like, two different conversations, even though they're kind of talking at each other. Think right before this, Ida had just learned about the life boon offer to Helia, so she was also, like, pretty irked about that ridiculousness, which is valid. But eventually, Toledo tries to get in this group and is like, okay, like, let's just put this stuff aside. I get you're angry about this or that, but, like, right now our priority should be saving Rowan. And he's like, let's just... he kept being told, everyone was like, hey, just ignore Raphael. No one was like, yeah, that's weird that Raphael said, I want you to suffer. Everyone was just like, just ignore him. He's like, but shouldn't someone tell this dude to stop being an asshole? But that didn't happen. So Toledo was like, overly ignoring him, the fact that, like, trying to box him out and, like, hey, let's just me and you to Ida, like, we can fix this. This is our family. This is Rowan who's in danger. We'll get to the bottom of it. We don't need their help. Again, rather than using all the resources available, he's still trying to make this a little bit about a way to strengthen their bond. And Ida does not appreciate that. But also, and for good reason, they're not really hearing that Toledo, like, actually can help. And it's like, hey, also, like, they're dying. And he's the only one, I believe, there that could do something about that. But they don't want to hear it. They're really trying to box him out. And they just keep telling him he's being emotional and he's not helping. Blah, 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 even though, like, he actually is. But again, communication, emotions are running high, doesn't quite get it across. And to Rowan's credit, I think Rowan was even trying to, like, be like, oh no, he is helping. But again, these are a group of serious vampires who are just kind of shooting down ones that don't appear as serious, like Toledo and Rowan. So it was sort of a fun dynamic at play there. And Toledo got his Ida moment where he stormed off. because he's like, I'm being shouted down. No one's listening to me. It's so clear that I'm not the problem here, but no one's to hear it. I'm pissed, so I'm going to use that anger to save everyone and show that I'm the best. Trying to do a good thing for not all the right reasons. Classic Toledo. So Toledo goes off. I don't even know where the hell he went. The things are slightly blurry here. All I know is something happens to where Helia, being the angel she is, I think clocks how upset Toledo was and storming off and whatnot. I think goes to talk to him at some point. They meet up elsewhere. They're trying to Helia once again just get people on a level to where they could actually work with each other and help each other. A tall order for if she's trying to make that happen with Toledo and Raphael. But she's trying. But she's also a little heated. And I think in this moment of, again, tensions running high, Lucius, true bro, comes in. And Lucius is an Epicurean in the same faction as Toledo. Toledo had been really shirking his Epicurean duties in the sense that he wasn't at the faction meeting, doesn't know what the fuck's going on. But Lucius does, and he's running around, and apparently they've solved all these things, collected all these items, and we're about to do some wild ritual. And it was like, hey, Toledo, the Epicureans, we're about to do this thing. And Helia is like, hey, why? I'm in the, because they're in the middle of a big talk. And Lucius, being Lucius, immediately just dominates her to go away. Rude as fuck, and also what a power move as fuck. And it works. So Helia goes away, and Lucia's like, all right, let's go. Again, he just sees someone yelling at Toledo and doesn't let him, and he's like, get out of here. My boy's coming with me. Which, with everyone like yelling at him and Toledo being gaslit in the Raphael situation, is like really feeling like all the people he should be able to count on, he can't. So his weird dynamic with Lucius is seeming more and more authentic and like truly what he needs. That's the support he's so desperate for. So he takes it, and they go. We met up with some of the other Epicureans. It was a moment where like the storyteller had us like off-site be at the Chattanooga River, where there was some wild ritual that happened that the Epicureans did involving like special vessels, mortals that they had acquired, as well as these different spiritually imbued items and different things representing different dyscrasias. And it was a whole, sounded like a really cool thing that the storyteller BJ ran us through. That again, Toledo had not been part of any of setting this up. He literally just got brought in for the reward, which also is that's for a person who is the most unlucky in almost every way you can imagine in real life. Toledo has just this, he is like a fucking luck skill that just keeps good things happen to him that he doesn't necessarily deserve, this being one of them. So he's part of this cool ritual. Something happens, like the spirit of the Chattanooga River is like whatever pact it has with the domain is like invigorated and is able to continue, and it seemed like a big deal, and it was really cool. And it resulted in these mortals, these vessels being imbued with a special, like some sort of fey blood, maybe we'll say. And Toledo, he's got that sniffer, he's got bloodhound. He used to be a member of the circulatory system. He's quite good with understanding resonance, dyscrasias, things like that. And so does some things and can tell that like the blood seems safe, but also seems like different. Not necessarily different bad, but something like even someone well versed in this stuff, as most of us who are Epicureans are, couldn't identify what the hell is going on. Really, the only way to learn what the properties of this blood was to drink it. And one of the Epicureans, Cazador here, the look says it all, right? And Toledo's like, man, if only there was someone here who seemed like the type that really just kind of be up for a good time, up for anything, is used to parting with strangers and maybe taking substances and not knowing for sure what it is, but hoping for the best. So if only someone here was experienced in something like this and kind of slowly turn to Cazador. It's like, yeah, this is, if anyone's going to try the blood drug that we found next to the river, it's going to be the Raver, right? And Cazador did just that. Took a sip. BJ, their storyteller, described the, more or less, it was tripping balls. It's like the blush of life type of effect happening. Mechanically, there's these cool bonuses that happened, as well as the role play aspect of you are now hallucinating and high, and you feel euphoric and happy and just bliss. Which Toledo again really kind of hitting a real low with everyone. It's like, yeah, let me take some of these drugs by the river, and I'm sick of all this other bullshit. I just want to feel good. So I think we all went, took a sip. Lucius, still being the schemer that he is, I believe acquired some of the vessels we didn't drink. I don't know exactly what happened with it. Check Caden's video for more details on that, but I believe he ended up giving some to Tigurius. So canonically, the Epicureans got Tigurius high, probably at some point, and made him a little more human for a night, which, you're welcome. So, Toledo's mental strife is now gone, which was a hilarious twist and something I got to completely switch up my roleplay for the rest of the evening, because I'm like, Toledo feels great. So Toledo moses on over to where he last saw some of his people, and he saw Ida speaking to Vice, Rowan, and there's another curse situation. So Ida also was cursed by a separate thing and nothing to do with the Malkavian stuff. And Rowan trying to help her with that, I believe, read her aura, did something, and ended up inflicted with the curse that Ida had. And I know this curse, I still don't know exactly how it happened or the story behind that. It just shows how many things are happening. But one of the things was, I believe, it caused you to want to confess things and whatnot, which played a part later. But all Ida knows is she gave Rowan the curse. Ida feels responsible for that, and again, she takes her duties very seriously if she decides she's protecting someone, and she's decided she's protecting Rowan. She's pissed, flips a table, and that's kind of when Toledo strolls in when like a table's being flipped. And also one of the things with the curse is I think they like hear voices or singing. They hear something in their head. So Toledo walks up. There's a candle on the table. It was like battery powered. A battery fell out. And the first thing that happens, it walked up and like he checks like, oh, what's going on? Everything okay? And Rowan just like shows him the battery, which was like a AAA, and just goes, oh, or something's like, that's what's happening because of the curse thing. Didn't make any sense to Toledo or me, but it's Rowan and I'm high and we're rolling with it. He's like, sure, man, that's okay. Yeah, let's go. But more importantly, Rowan is suffering again. She's double cursed now, and even though he had healed her earlier, enough time had passed, or she had another pull, she lost more willpower, things were looking bad. And Toledo is like, hey, I'm here to help. So they went aside, and he did another tarot pull, this time high. Which was great, because our storyteller from the Epicurean thing, he said like you guys will be hallucinating throughout the night and stuff, and you can like come up with your own, or you could check in with me and I can give you some stuff. If he's like, if I see you, I'm gonna give you some weird effect that's happening. And sure enough, as I'm doing this, he walks up and he's like, oh, like, isn't it wild that like you're seeing like the cards come to life and before your eyes and seem to animate and stuff like that. So real trippy tarot pull for Toledo. And he tried doing the thing Rowan does where she shuffles and whatever falls out, that's what she reads, rather than do like a card pull. And again, he was kind of clumsy with it. So like a dozen cards fell out and he read all of them, did a full spread, and just did a little story about Toledo and Rowan. While in his mind, this story was coming to life, and it was just a great time. And that's what he did to help heal Rowan. Although at some point, I think one of them must have been the sun or something. He talked about these beautiful golden lights that he saw and how he saw the sun, which scared Rowan, who hid under the table. So like for part of it, they were like under the table, like a couple kids at a sleepover. And then again, I just love the timing of the things that happen at this event. We enter a section of the night I like to call like the good guy montage, where Lucius came back up. And again, Lucius is high and feeling good, and Toledo is. And they like had this really tender moment of like hugging it out. Toledo starts crying. And when Lucius like genuinely thanks him, he's like, hey, thank you for like having my back and just helping me out. And he did the thing is like, because he does a thing where he walks up and he's like, my primogen. And, Toledo's always like, oh, my prince. Because again, from some of the character stuff we established before, it's sort of a joke that Toledo, he'll say yes to whatever. To him, titles and things like that are silly and don't really mean anything. So when Lucius wanted to like actually essentially turn an anarcham by giving him a title, Toledo's like, sure. But they both know it's sort of a joke. And there's a moment where Lucius like, hey, I know like it's a joke we're doing, but all that aside, like I really do care about you. And I really like want the best for you and I want to support you. And Toledo shared that sentiment, and they had like a really beautiful moment, or a real bro moment, which was great. And they were high, so it was even better. Then the Hakata that Toledo helped earlier by finding the vapor and confusing him a little bit by saying, hey, I'm just doing this to be helpful, stumbled into him, and he was looking all fucked up, like physically hurt and also mentally hurt. And so he's like, hey, are you okay? And he's like, no, actually, blah, 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 described something terrible had happened to him. I forget the details. And so he was like, oh, yeah, no, I got you. Let's patch you up. And did some of his mental healing where again, and got to learn about this character in a cool way too. He's like, what do you do to feel good? Like, what's your zen? And he does like calculations, a scientist or doctor of some sort. So Toledo's like, yeah, let's create an equation that makes you feel better. And like took him over to the bar, mostly through narration. He like was writing on napkin stuff. Toledo's not a nerd, math shit. But again, like through this, essentially was able to heal some of the willpower damage that this character had. He's like, also like, okay, physically, he's like, actually like my ear, like he's had some sort of head wound. So he's like, hey, we're here at the bar. I did a lot of like, miracle healing. I could do that for you. Did like a little quick baptism thing with some liquor, poured it over and healed him up. And again, it's just like fortuitous as this guy just happened to run into him. And Toledo, once again, helped solve some of his problems. And they were like, you're sure you don't like want anything for this? He's like, no, man. He's like, I saw you needed help. You seem like a good person, so I helped you. Like, pass it on. And they had a great reaction where they're like, you know what? Because earlier we talked like they are Camarilla. And they're like, I think and Toledo had mentioned like, hey, if you want to talk about like being an anarch or whatnot, let me know. But also no pressure. If you don't want to, I'm still going to help you. And they were like, I think I would like to hear more about like how you operate and how things are on the anarch side. So I don't really know. I just was embraced into the cam and the Bennett camp. So yeah, Toledo's like, hell yeah. So again, that was a cool moment. Again, and Rowan's here for all of this. So like Rowan's just seeing like someone come up and being like, Toledo, you're a great guy, I support you. Another person come up, Toledo helps them. And then they're like, hey, you really showed me a kinder way to be a kindred. I'd like to hear more. I think right after this, like Toledo turned like ended up kind of halfway into like Baron Kumari and Lee, who had a great scene with in LA, helping him out. Kind of having a conversation. Toledo ended up like kind of accidentally like just turned and being in the middle of it and was, oh, sorry, and started to like go. And I think they were like, hey, no, you could stay. Like you could talk with us. We could fill you in what's going on. And again, Toledo's high and emotional, so Toledo just starts crying. He's like, you guys just want me around too? You want letting me help you? Blah blah. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So that was a beautiful thing for Toledo. Grigori, who Toledo got in a little tiff with the night before. Hey, we owed a boon to. Was like, hey, I want to cash in that boon. I need some cards. I want you to help me become I believe it was Harpy Herald, one of the two. The same thing Toledo's helping Vice with, but a boon's a boon. So Toledo's like, yeah, absolutely. I gave you a boon. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to make sure you get this. And also, I learned from talking to Syrinx that apparently, like, while some of this was going on, and this was all happening in a similar area of the LARP, and I think Ida and Raphael were right outside that area, one of these little couches. Apparently, Ida just, like, overheard all these people talk about, like, thanking Toledo and talking about how good of a guy Toledo is, which was upsetting to Ida, because that's what Ida's, like, fighting against. He's like, fuck, is he really a good guy? Is he not just the idiot I keep telling myself he is to make myself feel better about, like, that I am right, that we're monsters and not good? But he seems to be doing a lot of good, and all these people are appreciating, like, so she starts feeling shitty and confused about it. Like, again, something I wasn't even aware of that just led to another really cool narrative development. But Grigori also was there to get a tarot read from Rowan, and she was fucking working those cards all weekend to great effect. So Toledo left her to that. Apparently, again, talking to Sirius, Abbott was outside talking to Ida, and I think Ida, like, talked to him about, like, Toledo's, like, what's Toledo's deal? Is he actually this saint, this good guy that he pretends to be, or is it all bullshit? And Abbott, I think, had Toledo's back. It was like, no, he really does, like, try his best. He's you know, and this is when Toledo pops in, and Toledo walks in, and again, it's Raphael trying to do the Raphael thing. I think, like, arm around Ida. They're on the couch. Ida seems emotional, and sort of that moment of, again, every time, like, Toledo's approached Raphael, it's been fucking on sight, and he's not been happy. And there's sort of this moment of Toledo comes in hot again, it's going to be bad, because Ida is actually allowing herself to feel a little bit of vulnerability, some emotions. And I can, like, feel the tension on the approach, and he just, like, looks at those two together. But again, Toledo is feeling supernaturally euphoric. So he is just like, Ida, I missed you. I want to be with you. Can I sit with, like, didn't even care about Raphael, and was like, oh, Raphael, we're fine. You're great. Abbott, and he was bound to Abbott. So, like, grabs Abbott, and he's like, I love you so much. You're the best, blah, 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 which he'd feel that way if he wasn't bound. There's, I think, some strangers around. He's like, you too, man. I love you. You're great. So everyone's like, brace for the fight. Toledo's all sunshine and rainbows. And so then the tension immediately comes from them as they're like, what happened? I remember Abbott's like, who did you talk to? Because he's like, someone fucked with Toledo's mind, and I'm going to go beat their ass, because that's what my Baron does. Toledo told them about, oh, no one did anything. I just essentially told them in character, I did drugs by the river, and I was feeling great. So they're like, okay, he's just supernaturally high. We'll just watch this. And Toledo's like, actually, I'm good. I'm right where I want to be. I'm happy. I'm great. I'm safe. But I'm worried about Rowan, and I'm a little fucked up. So, like, asked Abbott if he could, like, watch Rowan, because he looked in, and Rowan was doing another reading, this time with this fucking creepy Lasombra priest, played by the amazing Knox, who was a real problem. Not for Toledo specifically, but the more I learned about him after the event, the more I was like, damn, that's good in a bad way. So Ida, probably a little bit because of her moment of vulnerability, or seeing or hearing part of Toledo's little good guy journey, instead of storming off, just let Toledo be an emotional sap, as you see here. And sees crying blood. I think Ida was crying. It was a great, weird end to a very tense night, thanks to the power of drugs. Although, the true last thing that happened out of game was, as we're leaving, things were closing, the storyteller for the Trial of Germain plot found me and was like, hey, there you are. You're one of the lawyers for Germain, right? Toledo, who earlier the night with Abbott did check in with Germain and sort of reiterate that. But again, it was mostly Toledo spoke it into existence, and was like, yes, I am. And so then got filled in on, okay, tomorrow's the trial. I had the evidence already. It's like you have some of the evidence. There's some more evidence I can give you from the prosecution side. They have 4 lawyers. It's going to be you and another lawyer, but they're actually Camarilla. And I'm like, God damn it. So I'm like, it's going to be 5 Cam truly against me. And one of the Cams technically on my side, but is clearly there to sabotage me. It's like, fuck. And I learned it was Deventure Alex, who is so fucking smart and brilliant. And also sister to Siobhan, a real weakness to Toledo and myself. And I was like, well, I lost the trial, but they gave me a real gift out of metagaming of like, oh no, like it's legitimate. Like there's a whole thing. We're receiving all the information and whatnot. Alex decided to, like, she doesn't believe in the case against him and is genuinely working on his defense team, which is good because I'm like, I'd have to spend all this, like, I don't think I would ever fully trust that. So again, sometimes it's nice just to have a little above board knowledge so you can get an actual into the meat of an interesting plot rather than that would have been a whole thing with me, Toledo, freaking out about that I still played into, but knew I didn't have to really waste a lot of time with so we could get our lawyer on.